George and Ryan here again. So today we'll be now going through a couple of different RFID portal setups for RTI tracking. So what we've got today in terms of assets, first and foremost we've got some plastic bins. So today we're using the AD237R6 tag. For our metal asset we'll be using the shelving unit with a HID iron tag on it. And then down here, a really common asset for RTI, a pallet with a HID slim flex tag on there.
Today for our setup, we're using an aluminium frame to represent a standard US doorway. This setup will also work for a UK doorway. In terms of our reader, we're using a standard Impinj R700. In terms of cable length, I want to stress the importance of making sure that the cable length is equal for all cables, because the reader will use time division multiplexing, and if the cable lengths aren't the same, then you can potentially have multiple antennas active at the same time, which can cause issues. We also are using the slimline outdoor antenna, also known as the 5010, and we will also be using the compact outdoor antenna, also known as the 5020.
So as Ryan mentioned, the two types of antennas we'll be using today are the slimline outdoor antenna and also the compact outdoor antenna. Now you're probably wondering, when do I use either or antenna? So we typically see the compact outdoor antenna as when you need a more general read area and it has a wider beam but less gain. So it means that you're not getting as much penetration with the assets, but you're going to get a wider read area. So for quite simple setups, this could be your go-to antenna. Whereas the slimline outdoor antenna, we typically see this for more dense asset tracking or when you need further penetration from the antenna. So either when you've got a longer read distance or you've got more dense assets or more difficult to read assets, this is when we typically recommend the slimline outdoor antenna.
So in some cases with RTIs, you'll actually be able to get away with one antenna, but this can only be achieved by having very disciplined tag placement and positioning and ensuring that you make it so the tag gets easily presented to your one antenna. However, in most cases, you won't be able to control the tag's position so specifically. And so then you're trying to get a good general coverage of your entire doorway. And so this is a really simple one that only has antennas on one side. And so you don't actually need the full infrastructure around your doorway to support this kind of RFID installation. We've just got two antennas, one a quarter of the way up, and then one at 45 degrees up in the corner. This will give you good general coverage of the doorway, but this won't work for every single RFID application, and sometimes you need to slowly ramp up the amount of antennas you need to cover the full doorway, and this is only really found out through testing. On more challenging assets, like this metal shelving unit, it's important to place the tag in an easy to read location so that the antenna has nice line of sight between the antenna and the tag. This is because the RF signal will not be able to get through the metal, and so it will be reflected, and so it's good to place it in a position where those reflections will not impact the ability to read the tag. So as you can see, right here we've got the tag on the opposite side of this metal structure from the antenna, and because of this we won't actually expect it to read.
So if you find you're not getting quite the coverage you are looking for with a single-sided RFID setup, then we'd typically recommend having antennas on as many sides as possible for any portal. So for this example, we've got antennas on three sides. So on the top, we've got an antenna on the ceiling, another antenna to the left, another antenna about halfway down on the right, or my right, and then another antenna towards the bottom. Now, the reason behind this is to make sure that you're getting full coverage in an RFID setup. So if you've got either dense assets or reflective materials like metal, this type of setup will ensure that you're getting much better penetration through those dense assets, or you're getting the tagged assets from a different side if you've got reflective materials like metal. So what we have here is a standard US double door, and you may notice that the configuration we have is actually the same as what we had for the single door. So for whether it's a double door or a single door, the same configuration of antennas will actually work well. We've also interchanged with the compact outdoor antenna, or the A5020, which you want to use when you need a broader read area and you may have less dense assets. The setup shown works well for item level tracking as well as RTI level tracking. We hope you enjoyed today's demo. So what we've gone for is a couple of different configurations that you can use when designing your next RFID solution.
I'm now going to recap the session and then we'll go on to a Q&A.